Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today in this video we are going to discuss about how I can make the ML skill public and how I can make the ML skill private. My name is Mukesh Kala. I am a 4 times UiPath most valuable professional, certified solution architect and an advanced RPA developer as well. And recently I have also got the LinkedIn top voice. I have shared my LinkedIn details on the page, so feel free to connect me on the LinkedIn and I would be happy to be part of your network. Also, you see a small QR code on the screen. That is a QR code for a WhatsApp community where along with me there are a couple of developers. So in case you face any difficulty, you can post in the group and you can get some suggestions or some solutions. Also, whenever there is a new video which is getting uploaded, you get a direct notification on your mobile phone. To better understand today's video, you must have a background of UiPath AI Center. You should have the AI Center activated so that you can also go and practice along. In case you are someone who is directly coming to this video, I would highly recommend you to please watch the previous playlist or the videos in the same playlist where we have described what is AI Center, we have activated the enterprise trial for you, we have understood the main concepts, and also we have created 2 projects end to end using the UiPath AI Center. I have posted the link in the description for your reference. Lastly, in case you are coming to the channel for the first time and haven't already subscribed, please consider subscribing to the channel to get the next videos in the same playlist. Having said that, let's get started. Okay, so to get started with, I will start by having a quick recap that how does the model actually work. We have already discussed all of this in detail, so not spending much time here. So what happens is, first of all, we have a model which is available with us, and then we deploy that model to something which is called AI Center. In the AI Center, we have option to deploy, manage, consumes, all that options, right, where you can customize the model, train the model, select the versions, and all of that is done in the AI Center. Once that is done, the same AI Center model has to be used in the UiPath Studio. So you just drag and drop the ML skill from the AI Center into the UiPath Studio, and that allows you to use it with the UiPath robots, right? During the process, you may encounter some of the exceptions, some of the errors. So you also have an option to actually use the human feedback, which is called the humans in the loop. Humans can be utilized based on the human inputs. The model is improved and the data is sent back to the AI Center, and in turn improving its capability, right? So all of this we have already discussed, that how do you create, deploy, modify the deployments in the ML skill, right? So that was a quick recap that how ML skill works. Okay, so now assuming that you have already an AI Center model which you have created, or an ML skill which you have created, right, and it's available on your AI Center. Now if I have to use it into the UiPath Studio, it's very easy, right? We connect to the same tenant, we see the ML skill, and you get that option there, right? However, if I have to ask you a couple of questions as a business owner or as a developer, right, let's see if you are able to answer me those questions or not, right? So the first question which I have for you is, how do you access it outside the UiPath environment, right? So let's say I have a different program, different technology where I want to use the same stuff. How do you use it? The second thing is, I want to call it via a robot but which is connected to a different tenant. So till this time we have been using the AI Center which are connected to the same tenant. How about using an ML skill from a different tenant? Can I do it? That's a question. The next thing is, if I am on a on-prem environment where I do not have an option to connect via the cloud account, how do I do it? Lastly, how can we call the ML skill from any client data that can make a HTTP request? And what about the third-party apps, right? So these are some of the questions which I have for you, that in case you have an ML skill and you have to do any of this, how do you do it, right? In case you already know the answer, well and good, let me know in the comments. In case you don't know the answer for this, that is where we have to make the ML skill public, right? So let's talk about why making it public, right? So the first thing is, we have the possibility to make the ML skill public. It's always there in the UiPath AI Center. So first thing is that you have an option to make the ML skill public. So doing so, the ML skill will be accessible via the endpoints outside the UiPath environment as well. Okay, this means that you can call the same ML skill outside UiPath environment from any other tag, and also from the tenant which, or also from a tenant which you are not connected to. So I can have a different tenant which is for the ML team where they manage all of that, and I as a developer just want to connect to their tenant and get that ML skill. That is possible by making the ML skill public. To deploy the AI Center on-premise, we can set the public endpoints. Also, we can get the ML skill from any client that can make HTTP request. And the most common use case is the third-party apps, right? So all the questions which I have asked you, the answer to those questions is make the ML skill public and utilize them with the help of APIs. Okay. So I hope you understand that why making the ML skill public is important, right? Now let's go back to UiPath's AI Center and try to make an existing ML skill public. Okay, so I am back into my orchestrator. This is the same orchestrator which we have been working, cloud.uipath.com. I'll go to this 9 dots and I'll click on this guy, which is the AI Center, right? So this is my enterprise trial where we have been doing all the stuffs, and these are all the projects which we have created, right? So I'll go to this project, which is this movie review. I'll click on that, and that should give me the last project which we created for the movie review in the last video, right? So here you can see that this is the complete details. Now if I go to the ML skill, right, this is the ML skill, and this ML skill is available, right? So the first thing first is you should make sure that the ML skill is available, then only you can make it public. In case it is not available, you can click on that and you would have an option here to resume it, right, in case it is stopped. Okay, so as of now, if you can see here, I am not getting any options to connect it via API, and I do not have any option to make it public, right? So to make the AI skill public, you just have to go to this button at the top which says modify the current deployment, and that should open this small wizard for you, right? So in this small wizard there is a button which says make the ML skill public, right? And now I hope you guys understand what does it mean when I say make the ML skill public, right? It's answer to all those questions which I ask you during the presentation. Okay, so all we have to go here and click on this guy which is make ML skill public, right? All the other things, undeploy the skill after a period of inactivity. If I'm not using the skill for 1 week, I want it to get automatically undeployed, so that's here. You can change it by changing this option here, right? And apart from that, I'll leave everything to the default settings and I click on this button which is confirm. Okay, so now you would see that the ML skill version is getting updated, right? So it says updating. So after a couple of minutes, you would see that the status again as available, and when it is available, then it would be available for you to use via the endpoints. Okay, I haven't talked about endpoints, but I will show you once we get this, right? So please wait to get this status updated to available. Okay, so now you can see that the ML skill is now available within few minutes. So I click on that, and now I'm back to the same page, and you can see here now there are two additional things, which is the API key and which is the URL, right? So previously these things were not available for me, so making the ML skill public has given me two things. One is the API key and other is the URL. Okay, now what is this API key and URL? This API key and URL is something which you can give to any of the external application, and they can utilize the same ML skill, right? I am going to show you how you can connect the ML skill with the help of API key and the endpoint URL in the UiPath Studio. Similar fashion you can do it with any other applications as well. Okay, at any point of time, if you want to make it private again, which means that you do not want to share it to the outside world, you just go back here, click on this guy which is modify the current deployment, and you have this option. We can just toggle it off, confirm it, and it will again go back to the previous setting which was private. Okay, so I'll cancel this, and these are the two things which you require, the API key and the URL. Okay, now let's try to use the same skill into UiPath Studio, and I will also show you the difference. Okay, I'll go back to my UiPath Studio. Okay, so I am back to my UiPath Studio. This is the same project tutorials movie review last time we created, right? I hope you guys remember. I'll just open the main workflow. Okay, and let me show you an interesting stuff. Okay, so here last time when we coded this automation, right? So if you see here, when the ML skill was not public, right? So to connect to that ML skill, I have directly used the connection mode as robot. right? That all the skill which were available are available for me in the drop down. It is not using any of the endpoints, right? So the first mode of connection was robot and the second mode of connection was endpoint. So in all these previous videos I have been using the robot, which simply means that go and get me the skill from the tenant which you are connected to, right? So I'm connected to this tenant. You can see here tutorials by Mukeshkala, default folder, it's the same tenant. So I was able to get all the ML skills, right? Now if I have to write a program where I want to connect it via endpoints, how do I do that, right? So in the same automation, apart from that everything else remains the same. You just have to create a new project, you just have to add this ML service activities, right? So that we have already know that in case you want to use the ML activities, you need to have this package, right? So I'll go here, I'll create a new sequence. Okay, I'll call this sequence as endpoints and I'll create this. Okay, and first thing is I'll just go and I'll try to use assign activity. Okay, and this assign activity I'll take it as input. So I'll hit Ctrl plus K and I say str underscore input, right? And since this is for the movie review, I will just pass a movie review hard coded here. Okay, so I'll just go here and I'll pass that this maybe this was my bad, sorry, this was a wonderful movie and I liked it, right? So this was the review which we want to classify, right? And now to use the ML skill, we have to go here and use an activity called ML skill, right? So I'll drag and drop it here. Again, just repeating, the ML skill is from this package, which is UiPath.ml skill ML services.activities, right? So I'll go to activities, drag and drop the ML skill, and here last time in the previous videos we have been using this robot, which means that get me all the skills which are available in this robot, right? Today we are going to connect with the help of endpoints, and that is where you shift it to endpoint, right? Now it is asking us two things: what is the ML skill URL and what is the API key, right? So I'll go back to my AI center, which is this guy, right? I'll copy the URL from here, I'll paste the URL, right? Maybe in double quotes. Yeah, so in a real-time automation, all of this URL, all of this key would be stored in a confidential location. So we are just trying to set up the ML skill, that is why we are doing it like this. Okay, and now to get the API key, I'll go back here, I'll copy this API key. Okay, sorry, I click on this guy, which is the refresh. By the way, you can always go ahead and refresh and get a new API key. So as soon as you click on refresh, the previous API key get lost and you lose the connection, right? So you can always create a new API key from here, right? So I'll just copy the API key from here, go back to my studio, and in the API key I'll just pass it here, right? Then all we have to do is we can just go here and click on this guy, which is the test skill. Now here to test the skill, all you have to do is just pass some here. I love the movie. Test the skill. Okay, request URL is missing. Okay, my bad. I think the URL is not taken. So I'll again provide the URL. I'll copy the API key again and test the skill. Okay, so this time we are testing the skill using the URL and the API key, right? So this has given, so let me just test it again, something like boring movie, right? So now the stuff is exactly the same, right? We have deployed the ML skill, all of that is there, but now this time we are making this connection with the help of the endpoints and the API key, right? So for the boring movie, it says it's a 50% confident, right? So if I just make it like this, not so good, right? Test the skill. So it will give you the prediction based on the data which you have tested, and now it says it's negative 53% confident, right? So that means that whatever API key and URL we have given, we are able to get the response, right? Now in the same activity, we just have to provide the input. So I'll go to the properties and I can just pass the input here. This input, definitely again you can get it from the Excel all of that is again your implementation, right? And the output here is a JSON response. So I'll go here, hit control plus K, and create a response, create a variable, sorry, my bad, control plus K, and I say that JSON response, right? And this completes the implementation of the ML skill, right? So now apart from that, the complete thing whatever we have discussed in the previous videos, that exactly applies the same, right? So same like this, last time we have used the robot and this time I have used the endpoints, right? So same like I have used this endpoint, you can get it for any skill, make it public and get the details, right? Once you have the JSON response, once all you have to do is just deserialization, get the prediction, get the confidence, and write whatever you want to do, right? So this was the quick demo on how to make the ML skill public and how to get the endpoints and how to utilize it in the UiPath Studio, right? So in case you are not sure what to do ahead of this, you can watch the previous video where we have already connected to a lot of ML skills and get the data out of it from the JSON and put it in the Excel or in the message box, right? So all of that is still your implementation. Okay, let's have a quick recap. So today we have discussed that in order to use the API skill outside UiPath, or in case I want to use a skill which is from a different tenant, we have to make sure that the ML skill is public. To make the ML skill public, you just go to the ML skill and you have to open the skill, and there you have an option which is called the modify current deployment. Open it, make the ML skill public, and that will give you the API key and the URL. Use this API key and the URL into the UiPath Studio, or you can provide this to any external developer and they can also connect with the same ML skill, right? So I hope this was insightful and you will able to understand that what does it mean when I say making the ML skill public and using it outside the organizations. Okay, any more questions, any more doubts, feel free to write me in the comments, or you can also drop me an email as well, right? So with that, I would like to wrap this video here. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please do subscribe to the channel, and happy automation.